Chapter 7 For Valor. I hope you don't mind my telling you a good deal about Roberta. The fact is, I am growing very fond of her. The more I observe her, the more I love her, and I notice all sorts of things about her that I like. For instance, she was quite oddly anxious to make other people happy, and she could keep a secret, a tolerably rare accomplishment. Also, she had the power of silent sympathy. That sounds rather dull, I know, but it's not so dull as it sounds. It just means that a person is able to know that you are unhappy and to love you extra on that account without bothering you by telling you all the time how sorry she is for you. That was what Bobby was like. She knew that Mother was unhappy and that Mother had not told her the reason. So, she just loved Mother more and never said a single word that could let Mother know how earnestly her little girl wondered what Mother was unhappy about. This needs practice. It is not so easy as you might think. Whatever happened, and all sorts of nice, pleasant, ordinary things happened, such as picnics, games, and buns for tea. Bobby always had these thoughts at the back of her mind. Mother's unhappy. Why? I don't know. She doesn't want me to know. I won't try to find out, but she is unhappy. Why? I don't know. She doesn't, and so on. Repeating and repeating, like a tune that you don't know the stopping part of. The Russian gentleman still took up a good deal of everybody's thoughts. All the editors and secretaries of societies and members of parliament had answered Mother's letters as politely as they knew how, but none of them could tell where the wife and children of Mr. Chupansky would be likely to be. Did I tell you that the Russian's very Russian name was that? Bobby had another quality which you will hear differently described by different people. Some of them call it interfering in other people's business, and some call it helping lame dogs over stiles, and some call it loving kindness. It just means trying to help people. She racked her brains to think of some way of helping the Russian gentleman to find his wife and children. He had learned a few words of English now. He could say good morning and good night and please and thank you and pretty when the children brought him flowers, and very good when they asked him how he had slept. The way he smiled when he said in his English was, Bobby felt, just too sweet for anything. She used to think of his face because she fancied it would help her to some way of helping him, but it did not. Yet his being there cheered her because she saw that it made Mother happier. She liked to have someone to be good to, even beside us, said Bobby, and I know she hated to let him have Father's clothes, but I suppose it hurt nice, or she wouldn't have. For many and many a night after the day when she and Peter and Phyllis had saved the train from wreck by waving their little red flannel flags, Bobby used to wake screaming and shivering, seeing again that horrible mound and the poor, dear, trustful engine rushing on towards it. Just thinking that it was doing its swift duty and that everything was clear and safe, and then a warm thrill of pleasure used to run through her at that remembrance of how she and Peter and Phyllis and the red flannel petticoats had really saved everybody. One morning a letter came. It was addressed to Peter and Bobby and Phyllis. They opened it with enthusiastic curiosity, for they did not often get letters. The letter said, Dear Sir and Ladies, it is proposed to make a small presentation to you in commemoration of your prompt and courageous action in warning the train on the installment and thus averting what must, humanly speaking, have been a terrible accident. The presentation will take place at the station at 3 o'clock on the 30th installment, if this time and place will be convenient to you. Yours faithfully, Gerard Inglewood, Secretary, Great Northern and Southern Railway Company. There never had been a prouder moment in the lives of the three children. They rushed to mother with a letter, and she also felt proud and said so, and this made the children happier than ever. But if the presentation is money, you must say thank you, but would rather not take it, said mother. I'll wash your Indian muslins at once, she said. You must look tidy on an occasion like this. Phil and I can wash them, said Bobby, if you'll iron them, mother. Washing is rather fun. I wonder whether you've ever done it. This particular washing took place in the back kitchen, which had a stone floor and a very big stone sink under its window. Let's put the bath on the sink, said Phyllis. Then we can pretend we're out of doors washerwomen like mother saw in France. But they were washing in the cold river, said Peter, his hands in his pockets, not in hot water. This is a hot river, then, said Phyllis. Lend a hand with the bath. There's a dear. I should like to see a deer lending a hand, said Peter, but he lent his. Now to rub and scrub and rub, said Phyllis, hopping joyously about as Bobby carefully carried the heavy kettle from the kitchen fire. Oh no, said Bobby, greatly shocked. You don't rub muslin. You put the boiled soap in the hot water and make it all frothy lathery, and then you shake the muslin and squeeze it ever so gently, and all the dirt comes out. It's only clumsy things like tablecloths and sheets that have to be rubbed. The lilac and the Gloire de Dijon roses outside the window swayed in the soft breeze. It's a nice drying day, that's one thing, said Bobby, feeling very grown up. Oh, I do wonder what wonderful things we shall have to wear when we wear the Indian muslin dresses. Yes, so do I, said Phyllis, shaking and squeezing the muslin in quite a professional manner. Now we squeeze out the soapy water. No, we mustn't twist them, and then rinse them. I'll hold them while you and Peter empty the bath and get clean water. A presentation! That means presents, said Peter, as his sisters, having duly washed the pegs and wiped the line, hung up the dresses to dry. Whatever will it be? It might be anything, said Phyllis. What I've always wanted is a baby elephant, but I suppose they wouldn't know that. Suppose it was gold models of steam engines, said Bobby. Or a big model of the scene of the prevented accident, suggested Peter, with a little model train and dolls dressed like us, and the engine driver, and fireman, and passengers. Do you like, said Bobby doubtfully, drying her hands on the rough towel that hung on a roller at the back of the scullery door, do you like us being rewarded for saving a train? Yes, I do, said Peter downrightly. And don't you try to come it over us that you don't like it too, because I know you do. Yes, said Bobby doubtfully. I know I do, but oughtn't we be satisfied with just having done it, and not ask for anything more? Who did ask for anything more, silly? Said her brother to her. Victoria Cross soldiers don't ask for it, but they're glad enough to get it all the same. Perhaps it'll be medals. Then, when I'm very old indeed, I shall show them to my grandchildren and say, we only did our duty, and they'll be awfully proud of me. You have to be married, warned Phyllis, or you don't have any grandchildren. I suppose I shall have to be married some day, said Peter, but it will be an awful bother having her round all the time. I like to marry a lady who had trances and only woke up once or twice a year. Just to say you were the light of her life and then to go back to sleep again. Yes, that wouldn't be bad, would it? Said Bobby. When I get married, said Phyllis, I shall want him to I shall want me to be awake all the time so that I can hear him say how nice I am. I think it would be nice, said Bobby, to marry someone very poor and then you'd do all the work and he'd love you the most frightfully and see the blue wood smoke curling up among the trees from the domestic hearth as he came home from work every night. I say, we've got to answer that letter and say that the time and place will be convenient to us. There's the soap, Peter. We're both as clean as clean. The, that pink box of writing paper you had on your birthday, Phil. It took some time to arrange what should be said. Mother had gone back to her writing, and several sheets of pink paper with scalloped gilt edges and green four-leaved shamrocks in the corner were spoiled before the three had decided what to say. Then each made a copy and signed it with its own name. The threefold letter ran, Dear Mr. Jabez Englewood, thank you very much. We did not want to be rewarded, but only to save the train. But we are glad you think so, and thank you very much. The time and place you say will be quite convenient to us. Thanks you very much. Your affectionate little friend. Then came the name, and after it, P.S. Thank you very much. Washing is much easier than ironing, said Bobby, taking the clean dresses off the line. I do love to see things clean. Oh, I don't know how we shall wait till it's time to know what presentation they're going to present. When at last, it seemed a very long time after, it was the day, the three children went down to the station at the proper time, and everything that happened was so odd that it seemed like a dream. The stage master came out to meet them in his best clothes, as Peter noticed, and led them into the waiting room where, once they had played the advertisement game, it looked quite different now. The carpet had been put down, and there were pots of roses on the mantelpiece and on the window ledges. Green branches stuck up Christmas over the framed advertisement of Cook's Tours and the beauties of Devon and Paris-Lyons Railway. There were quite a number of people there besides the porter, two or three ladies in smart dresses, and quite a crowd of gentlemen in high hats and frock coats, besides everybody who had belonged to the station. They recognized several people who had been in the train on the red flannel petticoat day. Best of all, their own gentleman was there, and his coat and hat and collar seemed more than ever different from anyone else's. He shook hands with them, and then everybody sat, and a gentleman in spectacles, they found out afterwards that he was the district superintendent, began quite a long speech, very clever indeed. I am not going to write the speech down. First, because you would to live in when it was at home. You must make a speech now and thank everyone for their kindness, whispered the station master in Peter's ear and pushed him forward. Begin, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, he went on with a rush, it's most awfully good of you, and we shall treasure the watches all our lives. But she asked Peter and Phyllis to come down to the station with her at the time when the train that brought the old gentleman from town would be passing through. She explained her idea grey, which stuck to the sticky lemonade stains and made her look, as Peter said, like any little gutter child. It was decided that she should keep behind the others as much as possible. Perhaps the old gentleman won't notice, said Bobby. The aged are often weak in the eyes. There was no sign of weakness, however, in the eyes or in any other. The three children, now that it came to the suddenly felt that rush of deep shyness which makes your ears red and hot, your hands warm and wet, and the tip of your nose in my mouth. My heart's in my boots, if you come to that, said Roberta. But do come on. He'll think we're idiots. He wouldn't be far wrong, said Peter gloomily, and they went forward to meet the old gentleman. Giving Bobby's arm a kind little shake before he let it go. Well, what is it? "Oh, please," said Bobby. "Yes," said the old gentleman. "What I mean to say," said and if you knew how and would, we'd rather have that than anything else in the world. We'd go without the watches even if you could sell them and find his wife with the money." And the others said so too, though not with so much enthusiasm. "Hmm," said the old gentleman, pulling down the white waistcoat that had the big gilt buttons on it. "What did you say the name was?" "Fry Soul," he said. "Why, I've read his book. It's translated into every European language. A fine book. A fine book. A noble book. And so your mother took him in, like the Good Samaritan?" "Why?" asked the old gentleman. "I don't know exactly," said Bobby. "Only, if it's horrid, I don't want you to. I know London, and every Russian knows his name. Now, tell me all about yourselves." He turned to the others, but there was only one other, and that was Peter. Phyllis had disappeared. "Tell me all about yourself," said the old gentleman again, and quite naturally, Peter was stricken dumb. "All right, we'll have an examination," said the old gentleman. "You two sit on the table, and I'll sit on the bench and ask questions." He did, and out, and a great deal more.